back to the channel. This is the third video on the F90 M5 and this one is about stage 2 tuning. Stage 2 means that the catalytic converters are being removed. On this particular car there is 4 of them, and also the OPF has been removed. If you're asking what the OPF is, it's basically another emissions filter in the exhaust system. It's named similar to a DPF that you find in the diesels, but it doesn't need to regen or anything like that. I would say that you can do a stage 2 with the OPF in place. It's not a massive restriction, but on this car I decided to remove it all. So the way that was done was with a Remus OPF delete kit. It also deletes the resonator. So this car's quite loud now. The primary, the secondary, the OPF and the resonator is all gone. So the only thing we have to dampen sound is the back box. For me, that's a little bit too loud. So what I've done is I've actually bought a pre-OPF F90 exhaust system, and I will be fitting that instead. But you guys will get some sound clips of this today with everything gutted out. If you're really into loud cars and you want to make a lot of noise, this is the way to do it for you. If you're maybe a little bit more boring like myself, then you may find that you actually want to gut the OPFs out of the stock system, or you want to try to obtain a system like I have. One of the things I'm saying about with the current setup of the car is it's too loud. So I've taken out the primary cats, the secondary cats, the OPF, and by taking out the OPF with the Remus kit, it actually removes the resonator as well. So to quieten it down a little bit, what I've done is bought a pre-OPF system. And I was just going to show you guys the differences between them and why it's so noisy at the moment as well. So if we come here, this is the standard system, and it would not obviously have a back box on it, but that's on the car right now. So dampening the sound, you have the primary cat, the secondary cat, it then goes into the OPF filters, into the resonator, into the back box. So there's quite a lot there that's actually going to reduce the amount of noise that you're hearing. The current setup that I've got on the car is no primary, no secondary, no OPF, no resonator, just back box. So the valves are doing an okay job of quietening it down, but it's not quite enough. So unless you're fully ASBO and you want to be as loud as possible, what I'd actually suggest doing is either leaving the OPFs in place, leaving the secondary cats in place, or gutting the OPFs out of the standard system. I personally think with the Remus on, it's a little bit too loud, unless that is your thing. If you want an aggressive sounding car, that's definitely going to work for you. Coming over to the 2018, they never had an OPF in them. So on this, we can fit this exhaust, keep the resonator, but there's no OPF to go with it. So it's going to be a lot quieter. Now, this back box isn't the same as mine. It's probably going to be a little bit quieter. So I will be doing what's been done on this one and cutting it so I can put my original back box on. But yeah, just wanted to show you guys what I was actually talking about with the differences of the exhaust system. So like I say, with the Remus, all this section here is just completely straight piped, and then if like myself you're decatted as well, it really makes a big difference to the sound. So moving over to numbers, for you guys that like the draggy, what you're going to see is this car's now doing a 2.6 0 to 60. The quarter mile on it is a 10.2, and 100 to 200 is a 5.5. So we've shaved half a second off our 100 to 200, 0.2 of a second off our quarter mile, and also 0.2 of a second off of our 0 to 60 also. The weather is not even that great either. It may be able to go slightly faster, but it's hooking up pretty well. There's a little bit of spin there, but not much, not enough that I feel that I need to wait for the weather to get better. There is slightly more left in the car. One of the things that I've done with this is I've reduced the torque in a lower RPM for engine health and engine safety. 100 to 200, it's probably lost me about 0.2 of a second. Not a big deal, but for losing that 0.2 of a second, there's a lot more engine safety there. There are also other options to push harder on these with using ethanol and other fuels like that, but I think 5.5 is a nice place to be. This car was doing a 7-second standard, to shave 1.5 seconds off is quite a big deal. And in comparison to something like an F10, I know I always compare them, for you to be running a 5.5, you'd be looking for a decat, a clutch and a methanol system. So with these just needing decat, the power's a lot easier to obtain. So we have had this car on our actual dyno, but on stage 2 I've still got to get a few numbers for it. But when we was running slightly slower than we are now, because we've done some revisions, it was making 790 brake horsepower. It made quite a big jump actually from the stage 1 power wise. A good way of looking at the stages on the F10 and on the F90 is if you look at how much power you're going from going to stock to stage 1, if you half that gain and apply it again, that's pretty much the difference between stage 1 and stage 2. You find that whatever difference you make initially, about half of that is what you're going to gain from going from the stage 1 up to the stage 2. So ignoring numbers or draggy types, like that's probably the best way of looking at it, a way that quite makes sense. It's not the nicest day today. It's raining, and the weather's one of those days where there just seems to be a layer of crap on the floor, and you need to keep using the washer jets to get that film of just dirt and grime off the windscreen like every 5 minutes. I've already got all the figures I need to obtain, so it's not going to affect any of the data, but for the launches and that I want to catch from the outside of the car, maybe they won't be quite as good. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a launch from inside the car, and we'll get a couple from out. So all you do is put your foot on the brake, your foot on the throttle, and it's wet out there, but it still works. Oh my god, yeah. I love it, it's brilliant. The way these things grip, oh my god, you actually get quite a lot of adrenaline from it. It's really fun. Yeah. It takes quite a lot to get me going, but I've still not got used to the way that these things bloody accelerate. Pretty clear from that video, it doesn't really matter what the weather's like, you can hook up and go. I think before, like in this sort of conditions, I doubt I would have been actually even doing a 3-second 0 to 60s. I'll probably be doing low 4s, something like that in the F10. Just cannot get the grip once the ground gets damp, but in these they just seem to hook in and dig in. So yeah, that's probably the biggest asset of the F90, as I've said before, is the extra traction. So I really just wanted to show you guys that traction in action. Rhymes. Just wanted to show you that traction in action so you could actually see, look, these cars really do benefit from the X-Drive system. And I hate to say it, but I think with the amount of power that cars are making now, especially in our sort of weather conditions, they do need X-Drive. It's quite sad to say that, I hate to admit it, but it's a massive advantage. You could have a car making so much less power than you, and it'll be able to beat you because it gains so much in them lower speeds. I've got the window open. I'm just going to show you from the inside how low this exhaust system is at the moment. Being stared at by 2 dog walkers already, just doing that, which is not what I'm after. So yeah, point proven there straight away. Too loud. Far too loud. When it's like 10:30 at night and you think, oh, I might just nip down to the shops, or you need to go out quickly, you second think it at the moment. Think, actually, do I really want to take the car out this late? I am going to probably wake up about 10 houses. Maybe that's what you want. I've had a few customers come in before, and like on F10s and that, I've said, do you want me to turn the cold start off? And they say, no, I absolutely hate my neighbours. It don't happen a lot, but yeah, sometimes people don't get along with their neighbours, I guess, but I get along with mine, and yeah, I don't really want to wake them all up with the sound of the car. One of the things that some of the people have been wondering is, what sort of difference does it make to go from 20-inch wheels to 21-inch wheels? Well, we've actually tested that as well, and what I found through my login is that 0 to 60 unaffected, doesn't make a difference, and 100 to 200, the 21s that I've got are about 0.1 of a second slower, which is actually pretty similar to what I see on the F10. When I drop down from a 20 to a 19, I gain 0.1 of a second, so I don't know if that's just coincidence or not, but they're the sort of differences that you're seeing. Me personally, I happily sacrifice 0.1 of a second for the nice big 21-inch wheel. I think it looks a lot nicer. So what about you guys? What about other owners out there? F10 guys, like watching these videos, what do you think of it compared to the car you got at the moment? F90 guys, like how are you finding it? Is there anything that you wish the car had? Maybe you missed the DCT. Not quite sure what else there is to miss actually. Probably, yeah, missed the DCT. Maybe you'd like something like rear-wheel drive mode with traction still, because in these, if you're in rear-wheel drive mode, you have to have the traction fully off, which to me makes sense, because I mean, if you're in rear-wheel drive mode, you're probably going to want to be kicking the back end out. But yeah, what about you guys? Is there anything you'd like to see from me in videos? Is there anything you want me to discuss further, go into? Maybe how they're mapped, the differences on the different fuels, what sort of difference the OPF's making or the cats are making. If you've got any sort of questions like that, just ask, and I'll see if I can cover it in the next video.